Christian, what did you think of Sonic Unleashed?
I thought it wasn't great. What did you think?
Initially, I'm so browbeaten by Sonic. You know, I have the scars to prove it. I sit down and I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
It's got some like light RPG mechanics. It's got these kind of fun Sonic Adventure-esque stages.
Yes.
Talking
to people.
It's got like an art style to it. So it's not
It
horrible.
does. Yes. It's not vanilla Crytek anymore.
Right. It doesn't have that itch.io creepy vibe to it. It's like they hired an artist to work on this game. Music's good.
Yeah, very orchestral.
Yeah, it's working for me. And I like this concept where it's like the earth is split apart and you're like shoving the continents back into.
Yes.
Like it's one of those little 3D jigsaw puzzles, a Big Ben.
Yes.
But it's the earth or Gaia or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Each of the 7 continents.
Right. Oh, okay. See, yep, that's where we start getting into trouble where it's like, this is Anime Africa. And it's like, okay.
It is. It's like Sonic Nations.
Right, the Facebook game.
We're globetrotting.
Yeah, which doesn't truly make that all that much sense because you just like, there's these, it's like Jumping Flash 2 where the worlds are in bottoms, right? But
yes,
Sonic can, and everyone else can kind of like teleport between them or something. Like it doesn't seem like an issue because it's like,
right.
I'm Joe the American businessman and I'm in anime France. And it's like, okay, then why is this a problem?
Exactly, yeah, because it starts out with Eggman just firing a massive beam at the Earth like it's going to explode, and it kind of does, but it's still tethered together by some ancient evil monster that's at the core of the planet or something.
And there's revelations about all that are horrible, but that's later on.
Yeah, it seems like Eggman probably potentially killed millions and millions of people, but when you're running around, everything's just fine.
Is that worse, moralistically speaking, than Sonic CD, where he creates time variations where everything is dead?
Wow. Dang, that's a good question.
Because that's not set in stone. That's a thread.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Right.
We're getting deep.
Know.
We haven't been doing this for a while. I have all kinds of ideas in my head. Is Sonic handsome? Speaking of handsome, Sonic has a little like Scrappy-Doo sidekick with him.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
The
flying
Chip.
fuzzy guy. Yeah.
What'd you think
That's
of
in
him?
there for some reason.
He likes food.
He feels like he's from an entirely different video game.
Yeah, but that's every Sonic thing in every Sonic game. So it's like he fits the art style of the world that he's in more than Sonic does.
Totally.
Which is weird.
Because Sonic's just Sonic.
I don't know. Did you ever watch like the Fox Kids? That's where I assume this is coming from. Is like this, it feels very like Saturday morning, like right after fighting Foodons and right before Bo. You've got Chip's adventures, right? And he's eating food and he's wacky.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He wants to eat the ice cream.
Yeah. And you can do that. There's like that light RPG mechanic where you can buy food.
That's right. And you can get chili dogs.
Right?
Completing levels in a certain time frame.
Right. No. Oh, yeah. I didn't do any of that stuff. The challenges. Did you do any sort of achievement hunting in this game? Because it sounds horrible.
It does. It seems absolutely awful.
Okay. Good. Just checking.
And I did 0 of it because I played on Xbox.
Right. And it doesn't matter to you.
And not PlayStation.
Right.
Where the frame rate's apparently awful.
Yeah. Oh, on the PlayStation or on the...
Yeah, on the PlayStation.
Okay. Because I experienced several technical issues while playing this game.
Yeah. Yep. You playing backwards compatibility?
Yeah, I sure was. Yeah.
Ooh, good frame rate?
Not particularly. I mean, it's fine.
It's fine.
I finished it, sort of.
Sort of.
It's so weird. We both ran into the same bug at the end where it crashes.
It did.
Right before the last boss.
Mm-hmm. Right after you finish a 30-minute long level.
Yeah. The worst level in the game by far. And then it's like, do you really want to keep playing this game?
Yeah.
It's like a test. And we both passed.
That's great. That's great.
But anyway, Chip sucks. And he is part of this mythology that I don't much care for that involves Sonic becoming a werewolf.
Yeah, I don't
Stretchy
know.
arms, Christian.
Stretchy arms. It's genius. Yeah, because the story's set up. I think I already got into it a little bit where the game starts out with this insane cutscene, and I swear most of the budget had to have gone into these pre-rendered cutscenes.
It looks good though. It's a cool cutscene.
It does, because they're just insane, and it must have been so expensive because they couldn't even afford to do another render for English lip syncing.
Okay, sure.
So it's just the Japanese lip syncing, but they play the English audio on top of it.
That's fine.
And it's like crazy. It's like they're making a Star Wars movie or something in the beginning.
Prequel vibes all over this thing.
And the crazy orchestral music. And then like Eggman and Sonic are having a tit for tat in space around a bunch of spaceships. And then Eggman captures Sonic and then zaps him. And then for some reason that gives Sonic werewolf powers.
Okay, what you're saying is gibberish, but I do like that it doesn't feel like other Sonic games. Like, I just think of the hoverboard racing games where it was just like story built on Sonic lore that doesn't make any sense and is completely dependent on you understanding Sonic lore and
Sure.
characters just appear and disappear. This at least is like telling its own story.
Right.
Even if it's kind of starting jarringly where it's like the end of a different game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
You can just throw like fun sci-fi Star Wars battles at me with Sonic, and I'm like, okay, this is that's all I need as far as story goes. But then they add all this other story.
Yeah, this is a big flagship, Sonic game, right? This is one of the big ones.
I don't know. Sure, yes.
I assume everyone was like, hey, Sonic 06 wasn't great, but this is going to be the next big one. Sonic and the Secret Rings never happened.
I get the impression people might think that.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
It just seems like this is one of the big new entries.
Yeah.
And they're, I don't know, aping Super Mario Galaxy because it starts out with a big globe and fancy orchestra music in outer space.
Okay, yeah. They could have tried harder if that's the case, but sure.
But it just seems like all these Sonic games just have the same narrative structure where Eggman wants to use some ancient evil. And then he taps into it, but he isn't able to control it like he thought he could. So it's up to Sonic to tamp it down and then defeat Eggman in the process. And then eventually defeat the actual evil that Eggman woke up.
Do you think that comes from... There's like this weird environmentalist strain to the 2D games where he's like taking nature,
saving animals. Yep.
Yeah. And then I feel like now we're in like full on like Crystal Gripper, like the earth spirit is sad and you have to like, and I guess you could make like a connection between those two things, but it feels really weird. Like in Sonic Adventure 2 is less of that, right? Where it's just like he's building the Death Star.
Yeah, that's true.
But 1 is like chaos or whatever. And it's like the earth spirit and the water. Right. That all sucks. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't need story necessarily.
Right. Cool setting.
Yeah. No, it is. It's interesting. It's not like other Sonic games. And I think they actually do an okay job of taking what on paper is a pretty awful idea, which is racial stereotype worlds.
Of course.
But turning that into ideas, at least for stages, but then you actually play the stages. And I kind of just hated this game at a certain point where not even just the werewolf stages, but the werewolf stages are definitely not as good. Although I will say they impart in me something I feel like we've talked about before, which is just like, here is video game mechanics and a level, and you are just going to progress through it in the way that you know.
Yeah.
And there's comfort in that.
Ooh, yeah.
And I like that, at least at first. But then it's like the skyscraper level, and it's just horrible. And it's just like, I keep falling
to your death.
Falling to my death over and over. Yeah.
Beautiful. Amazing. This game is structured in an interesting way that in the beginning, I guess I was into it more.
That's such a charitable description of...
I didn't see the man behind the curtain at first, where it's just you go to racial stereotype land, X.
Baguette land.
Yes. And then you run around area with NPCs you can talk to. And then you go to like a exploration zone, which is like a small boxed room where there's like maybe entries to like 5 or 6 levels. And you just got to figure out how to either arbitrarily make that entry open or how to get to that level entry area. And then you do the actual level.
Yeah.
And hope it's not a werewolf level.
Right. But half the time it is.
It felt like more than half the time because those levels are the longer ones.
They sure are. Half an hour sometimes.
Yeesh.
But tied into that,
Yes.
speaking of Man Behind the Curtain, is that they have like secretly, without your knowledge, turned the like kind of like foo-foo pickups from previous Sonic games where it's like, oh, you can go for like the creepy medals that require you to play this game in a not fun way.
Sun and Moon medals,
And then they do such a horribly good job for 75% of the game being like, oh, that's just something kind of fun you can do.
Yeah.
And then you hit a wall and it's like, no, you need basically more of these than you would think.
Yep. You need a lot of them. A lot of these Sun and Moon collectible medals that are hidden in levels before they let you play the next level. That's part of the story.
I don't understand it.
It's insane. It's insane. I don't know if I've ever played a game that does something as sinister as that ever.
I don't even mind. It's just that they hide it from. Well, they don't hide it from you because if you are you paying attention?
Yeah, right.
That's how they're gating levels for you. But it's not an issue until a certain point, and then it is.
Yep.
And it's not like to beat the last boss, you have to get all these medals. It's like 3 levels before that. All of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, I guess I need to go through all these levels again. But at least they extend you the courtesy of letting you like exit out of the level after you've collected some more medals. Or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Or there's medals in the little hub world, so they're easy to get.
Yes.
That's fun. But no part of that, because the only result of that is you playing levels over again.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's no fun when you got to play a 25-minute stage over again.
No.
Just to get some more medals.
No.
Not good. And I think in the nighttime stages, the Werehog stages, they have more sun medals.
Right.
And then in the daytime stages, the Sonic ones, they have more nighttime medals.
At least in the werewolf ones, they're just like there and you grab them. Like the Sonic one, it's like, oh, I missed it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's terrible. Like you just got to play the whole stage over again because you hit a checkpoint and it was like way back there.
Horrible.
Now that's not a good system.
We need to sell strategy guides, the game.
Right. It's terrible because I forgot I was Googling something about this game. And then I think I saw someone on some GameFAQs post from 15 years ago saying that they needed a bunch of these types of medals. I think it was sun medals that they needed more of. And they said, I need way more. Where am I going to get these? And I was like, uh-oh. I'm probably going to run into that problem. So I started following a guide, a walkthrough for these locations and got them all in every hub area and every level from that point on. Like half the game, I was getting all of them at every level. And I still hit the brick wall. Yep. I still had to go back and play earlier levels or find new levels in order to get the massive number you need. I think it's like 70, 90, something like that. And there's like, I don't know, 4 in a level.
Horrible.
Insane. Why would you get progress like that?
The game's
Maybe
not
mix
that long.
Sonic Adventure, where you just find a stone somewhere and slap it on a pedestal and then boom, play the next level. Have fun.
Yeah, and the music's like, oh.
Exactly.
That would be all right. I mean,
oh well.
That's a hard comparison, I guess, because this game functions in a way that Sonic Adventure 1 doesn't.
Sure.
But I think I would rather play Sonic Adventure 1 just because it's fun, and this game wasn't really that fun at any point.
Yeah. You didn't like the God of War combat? Come on.
I don't mind it.
Come on.
I'll interface with it. I don't care. But there's so little enemy variety, and it's so like hard to die from enemies, but so easy to die in other ways, and then it doesn't matter because you just have to do it over again.
Yep.
And they let you level up your skills, which just doesn't ever feel satisfying because there's no real connection to what you're doing.
Yeah. When I started out, I watched, I don't know, like a 40-minute long YouTube video of someone like being like, the Werehog combat is actually really good.
Oh my god.
And here
Deep
are some
dive.
tips to really enjoy it, because Sonic Unleashed ended up being one of my favorite Sonic games of all time once I grasped the deep Werehog combat. And apparently the gist of it was just put all of your XP into the combo thing. So level up your combo first so that you have more moves that you can use.
Yep.
Because it makes it less boring when you can push different buttons and watch different things happen.
Yeah. Well, that's why people like Devil May Cry, is because you can level up your combo meter to get new moves you won't use.
There you go.
Senseless. And like people were like, the best move is this like corkscrew move you do in the air.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sure. But there's no way to like steer that thing. So I'm just like, well, I'm never using this, even if it is the best. And it's so like arbitrary when enemies can just like block all of your attacks.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, well, this is horrible. And then the most bonkers thing of this whole game, even including Chip's final fate, which is insane. And the way that you fight the last boss, which is like a fever dream.
Totally.
There's these quick time events.
Yes. Ugh.
And the sound effect that they use for successful button press is a loud, crisp doorbell chime. Like, do they not have dogs in Japan? Did they not see this as being an issue, that every time you do one of these things, your TV makes a really loud doorbell noise? What is happening?
Amazing. Oh, that's great. I took it as like a little Tyke's toy sound effect or something.
Ring!
Yep.
It's like when they put ambulance sirens and songs on the radio and you're like, am I supposed to pull over right now? No, it's just the radio. Why do they do that?
That's great. QuickTime events are also mechanically terrible because the button just shows up and then it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's gone. And then because you fight an enemy and then it gets the God of War symbol above them because you're supposed to do the QuickTime event to kill them. And it just feels terrible because like sometimes you'll pick up the enemy instead of doing the QuickTime event.
Yep.
So you need to like be lined up just right in order to actually make it happen. And then a lot of people recommend just pause buffering the QuickTime events because they go away too soon and the game doesn't run great. So the meter will be half gone by the time you even see the button.
So kludgy, where it's like you press it and it doesn't register that you press it until after the meter disappears, but it still registers it because you press it.
That's not good.
Same with the we're flying an airplane, Sonic.
Do you love flying on the tornado and it just being pushing the QuickTime event buttons to blow up missiles?
It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's like, why is this here? Why
you do it twice?
You do it twice. It's like the same too. It's not like they don't escalate. It's not like now there's another button.
Nope.
Oh, I don't know, man. And at a certain point, it just feels like every single time they do this, where it's like, oh, the running stages are fine. Like the Sonic. Like Sonic Generations, they figured it out. It's like the running stages are fine.
Yeah.
They never add anything to it. It's just the same. It's just you're in one of 3 lanes and you switch to the rings and then you jump over the thing and you duck under the thing.
Yep. And then it seamlessly transitions to 2D.
No.
And then you fall down and die.
Yeah.
And then retry the same stretch 20 times until you figure out, I'm supposed to jump over here, not under here.
Yeah. Play the first, whatever it's called, Windmill Island or whatever the hell it is. Greek fun time.
Yeah.
That's a better experience probably than most Sonic games, but just don't play the rest of the game then.
Absolutely.
Because it's not as good as that.
Absolutely.
And even that's not that good, but it looks nice and it sounds good.
You don't even need to meet Professor Pickle.
Oh, Professor Pickle sucks. I hate his stupid laugh he does every time you talk to him. He's like, and it's like, why am I talking to people?
You got any artifacts for me, Sonic?
Yeah, that was really disappointing because it's like, as you know, I love when a game gives you like an area that you can upgrade. And none of that. Because you're buying all these like things. It's like Animal Crossing or something. It's like, or it's like a much better version of this is the Odyssey ship.
Oh, Assassin's Creed you're talking.
Nope.
Of course.
Oops. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mario can get souvenirs from places he's been and put them on a ship. And it's like, that's exactly, I feel like, what this is going for, except you don't ever see it and it doesn't do anything. And all it results in is occasionally you get another medal.
Right. But it's actually something that exists outside of a menu checklist or something.
Exactly. It's like a part of your journey. This is like, this is a crazy, like it's dumb stuff. It's not cool. Because they're so, I think there's this really weird friction between the story of this game, which is this insane, Earth forces and spiritual journey, and people are getting split into dual personalities and all this crazy stuff. And then the actual meat of it and the environments and everything is like America. Yeah. Or like, it's like so mundane. It's like they don't.
Totally.
Or they go in this like weird racist direction with it, where it's like China land and there's dragons. And it's like, what? Why is America this like weird museum of modern art sculpture? And then China is like running on dragons and stuff. I don't understand.
And we got to find sassy grandma or something.
Yeah, sassy grandma. It's like Sonic is matchmaker.
Yeah.
It's really creepy. And there's this cool thing kind of where it's like these stories are playing out between environments, where it's like, I start this story chain here and then it continues elsewhere. And that's all right. That's a fun thing, I guess. But it's not a good distraction from the meat of the game, which is bad.
Yeah. What can you do? You know what I hate is that the Werehog design is explicitly shown to have spiky shoes.
Go on.
And when you get to the ice level, he still slips around everywhere.
Okay.
And it makes it platforming even more terrible.
It's got cleats. It's like a soccer Werehog. I gotcha.
Yep.
It's weird when you...
disappointed.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if this did it for you, but it seemed faster if you wanted to switch to like exit out of the level and then... Oh, I love so much. Favorite part of the game is where you can hold down the button and time goes forward and the sun moves around the Earth.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea.
From the world map, yeah.
Yeah. But if you actually just like do the switch in the level that they want you to do, it's like this really horribly frame limited loading screen that takes way too long, where Sonic becomes a... But then later in the game, in the last level, they don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
What was the point?
I don't know. That's such a good question. I had the same experience because I was like, okay, so yeah, because during the exploration bits at each area, you have to do some things as Werehog, some things as Sonic, and you just have to hit a switch and watch a 10-second loading screen every single time. Woo. So that makes you think... or assume that they've got to do some kind of loading in of different assets and switching out of like a physics model or something for the new character. Assume. Right. Until you get to the last level and then you just switch on the fly. It did cause my game to hitch a lot when that switching happened, and it caused me to die a couple times and have to restart Eggman Land once because it was my last life one time when... it switched from, I think it was Werehog Sonic to regular Sonic.
You just fall right off the platform.
Yes, because he goes too fast. It's like the acceleration is just like they moved the bar up to the maximum for regular Sonic. So it's like just running around don't feel good.
Nope, that happened to me at least 3 times. I know exactly which one you're talking about. It's right after this arena fight.
Right.
And then you go to the switch, and then there's a checkpoint right after that switch.
Yep. That's the one. That's the one. Can't these problems be circumvented with good level design? I don't.
One has to assume it's so. People talk about like the meat circus as like, oh, this is horrible late game. Like, oh, this is so much worse than that. And I get that it's a different point of comparison, but it's like this is that same idea, but like done in the Sonic way.
Yep. In that Eggman Land section, there's Werehog parts that had me like tearing my hair out. I was at my wit's end because what it does is it drops you into this circular room.
I know exactly what you're going to say. And
just keeps spitting enemies out. Yep. Right. And I'm like, okay, I just have to get good enough at the combat so I can kill however many of these guys show up because they just keep spawning and spawning and spawning and spawning. And I make it to like 10 minutes and then die. And then I make it to like 11 minutes and then die. And I'm like, oh, how many of these things are there? And then I accidentally hit a wall and see that there's a switch that just lets you continue.
It's so crazy because we play games differently, you and I. And we both ran into these exact same issues. Like, how does this not... How do they not look at that? Like, it's obviously like hidden. It's like this, like, ooh, right. But it's like, then point us there. It's so crazy. And you never get like cool upgrades. Like, give me a weapon, give me a gun. Shadow the Hedgehog knew what it was doing.
Hey,
because you had those like crazy Lilo and Stitch giant guns. Give me some of that.
Sure. But the werewolf is your gun.
That's beautiful. Yeah, his voice is terrible. But I don't remember him. I remember him talking, but never to someone. I don't remember him ever having a conversation. He's always just like, Gaia.
Yeah.
It's like Metal Gear Solid or something at a certain point.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Chip's final transformation?
Whatever. It's so half-hearted and just like, we have one character in this game. Yeah. We should make him important, I guess, or something. I don't even understand what the point of that was. Would that have happened if Sonic wasn't there? Because Sonic like falls on him.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and then it's like Chip has amnesia or something.
Yep. He can't remember.
But at this late date, I don't remember. Is that something Chip had amnesia to begin with, and the fall had nothing to do with it, or did Sonic like rattle his medulla or something to cause that?
I don't know if that's. If they give you a good answer.
Okay, because Chip's just kind of like,
yeah, right.
Which is now when the reveal was revealed. That's not what I would expect him to be doing in any circumstance if he didn't have amnesia. But I don't know. He likes food.
Totally, he does. And turning into a giant
ghost. Oh.
So you can have a big mech battle at the end, running around at the speed of sound.
And that boss battle is so crazy because it's like boost.
Yep.
And then you can go 2 miles an hour. And then it's one of those boss battles where it's like, I feel completely powerless and I just avoid everything. And then there's a quick time event.
Yep. Beautiful.
That's when video games died, man, is when they took boss battles and they turned it into press buttons that it tells you to press, and then a cutscene plays to cause damage to the boss.
Yep. That's fun. Entertainment.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't remember if I actually beat this game because I think I got to like the last sliver of health on the boss. And then it was like Chip was there and he was like, Sonic, hurry up.
Oh, no.
And there's like nothing I could do. And I would always just die because like there's a time limit you're not privy to that occurs and then you die.
Yep.
But I'm sure it ends very well.
Sure. You like big CGI cutscene? That's not as elaborate as the opening one?
I really, really like that, Christian.
Hey, you'll have to dive back in.
God, I really love that. New Game Plus, I'm going to do all the hot dog man's challenges.
There you go. Now you're talking.
There's a really awesome exploit where rings don't disappear that should, but they're invisible.
What?
Did you look into this at all?
No, what is this?
So cool. There's one cluster of rings.
Yeah.
In the Chinese level hub.
Really?
And if you boost into them, you collect them, but they don't go away. So if you do that like 10 times, each ring is like 10 rings. And they come back right away. So you can just stand there and jump over and over, and you just get like 1,000 rings
at once,
gosh. Over and over and over and over. And then you can use that because that's like the economy. And then you can go to the traveling salesman. And that sucks also. It's like, let's have this traveling salesman and you don't know where he is.
Yep. It's like Xur in Destiny, dude. How awesome is that?
Yeah, I guess. But you would have to have like a website that tells you where he is. At any given time. I don't know. It's senseless stuff.
Dude, you just caused inflation.
Oh, no. I don't want to inflate Sonic. Werehog Sonic. I don't know. Christian, do you have any other thoughts on this?
No, not really. Game? Okay. We touched on everything I wanted to.
It really disappointed me because there was a time where I thought it was pretty good and people seemed like they really like this one, but I just can't with what this game eventually is.
Yeah, I watched a couple videos where I think one of them I watched, the person said the sentiment seems to have kind of shifted on, I don't know if it was like Sonic Generations and Unleashed or something like that, where apparently people hated Unleashed back in the day. It didn't get good reviews, but then over time, people are like, hey, this game's pretty cool. And then they don't show the werehog parts when they're showing gameplay on their YouTube video.
Right, they just show that first level and they're like, look at this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right.
I don't agree with that sentiment at all, but that seems like how video games work.
Mm-hmm. You get distance, and then it doesn't seem so bad when you're staring at this list of 88 not so great games.
I rented this game once, and now I'm an adult making videos about it.
Hey, we've come full circle.
A life plan.
Dude, that was me with Final Fantasy 13 when we get there.
Yeah. I like that game.
It'll be wonderful. Let's see. We'll see.
Where are we going to put this game?
Good question. Good question.
There's things to like about it.
There are, yes. Unlike a lot of Sonic games.
It's a video game.
Yeah.
It's never like, go to this temple. Well, it kind of is. It's linear in a way that works for it, where it's like, okay, you always know where to go.
Yeah. You ever look at the differences of the PS2 and Wii port? Yeah.
Where they like cut a bunch of stuff and it's all weird looking.
Yeah. That one does not require you to get the Sun and Moon medals. Excellent. And it doesn't have the open areas.
Excellent.
And the temples are actual levels, whereas they only appear in cutscenes.
Right. And they're all identical.
This version. Exactly.
Unskippable cutscenes, by the way.
Yikes.
Unless there was a way to skip them that I wasn't privy to, because, man.
I certainly wasn't. No.
Okay. Is this better than Sonic the Hedgehog 06? I think it might be.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That puts it above most of this list. Let's see. Sonic Adventure 2 would be another point of comparison.
Good question. I think this is better than that.
I think you're right. We're going to get buried for saying this.
Uh-oh.
What about Star Fox Adventures?
Star Fox Adventures. This is. I think we're in good company here for Sonic Unleashed.
Nobody brings me gifts anymore.
Yeah. Right. Popsicles.
Right. It's like she's a princess, but she's also like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
She's like a pterodactyl, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Right.
I think I put Sonic Unleashed above that. Above Star Fox Adventures.
What about Dead Space 3?
Good question.
I think Dead Space 3 is better than Sonic Unleashed.
Yeah, I think so. They're shooting people. Xenomorphs and people.
Dead Space 3 and Sonic Unleashed kind of end very similarly.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
In a really stupid way.
Yeah.
I'm fine with between Dead Space 3 and Star Fox.
Yeah,
Adventures.
I like that spot. Couldn't quite beat Polar Express.
I agree with that. I'm fine with that.
Absolutely.
I didn't capitalize, but I'll get back to it. Thank you, Christian.
Never mind. I'm fine. Let's go.